Good morning, guys. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Elizabeth, and today I'm going to review a recent trip I had with EF Ultimate Break. From August 18th through September 3rd of this year, I was on the Ultimate Italy trip with EF. I absolutely loved this trip. I took you through the day by day, what we did, all the extra excursions, where we stayed, room tours, what we ate, all of that. I will link in a playlist up here if you missed it, but I did just want to sit down and give a very in-depth, thorough review, say what we liked, what we didn't like, go over how much money we spent just to help with budgeting and everything like that. So I wrote stuff down for the whole trip. It is now quite a while after the trip, but these are usually really helpful. Before we get into it though, I'm not sponsored by or paid by EF. These are all of my honest opinions that I am just sharing with you. Hopefully they help you. I will say that I am an ambassador for them. That just means that I share my experiences, and then if they are helpful for people, people can use my link or code and then save money on their trip. I do not get financially compensated for any of that. I can earn EF credit to continue traveling with them in the future, but literally anyone can become an ambassador. You do not even have to have traveled with EF in the past. You can just apply on their website. You could literally do it right now if you wanted. But with that being said, I believe that this was my 8th EF trip. Aside from Italy, I've been on their St. Patrick's Day in Ireland trip, London and Paris trip, Costa Rica for New Year's, Spain, Morocco, and Portugal, Australia, New Zealand for New Year's, Greek islands, and highlights of Eastern Europe trip, so that this Italy would be my 8th, yes. All right. Anyway, let's just jump right into it. I believe that EF has recently changed their type of trip so that you can do a plus trip with just 2 roommates, or you can do the essentials trip where you're just staying in hostels and stuff. So it's one or the other. When we booked this trip, they had different accommodation options, so we would stay in both hotels and hostels, and then my husband and I went on this trip together. We were able to pay to upgrade our room and room together in all of the situations, and I'm pretty sure on the essentials trip now you're not allowed to upgrade your room. I'm not positive, that's just what I'm thinking, but it was nice. I love that. I'm actually kind of mad that they changed it because I won't go on an essentials trip if I'm traveling with my husband. But when we booked, it was fine. I absolutely loved this trip. I loved all of the food. I have 0 complaints for anything like that. My only thing is going in late August, early September. It was so hot. I know people say going to Europe at that time it's gonna be hot, and that's when we went to Greece last year, was that same window of time, and I feel like it wasn't as bad in Greece, but oh my gosh, it was so hot in Italy. And a lot of the places we stayed did have air conditioning, but some of them weren't very strong. They didn't really work very well, and just with it being 103 degrees outside, no matter what, the air conditioner is going to struggle. So I just think it was just so hot the whole time. I would for sure do this trip. I would for sure not go back in August. I would do either later September or early spring instead. I wouldn't do summer in Italy again. I feel overall for this trip, it was a really good mix of city vibes and then relaxing beach vibes as well. I feel usually trips are one or the other, so it was nice at the beginning of the trip to have more packed in cities, sightseeing, history, stuff like that, and then towards the end of the trip have a lot of free time, relaxing. We can just sit and hang out by the beach or the pool or whatever, and it was just so nice, a good combination. I also do think we got such a good variety of people on this trip. Our group just clicked, and so my husband and I would go out to dinner each night with pretty much a different group, and everyone was so nice and welcoming and accommodating and just nice and fun, and I just loved meeting new people, and it was just the best time. And out of all of the 8 trips that I've been on, I would say just overall group dynamic, food, what we got to see, what we got to do, this was probably ranked in at my 2nd favorite trip outside of Australia and New Zealand, just because that one's gonna be so hard to top no matter what. But I just feel I loved this one so much. I have food allergies. I didn't struggle eating there. Everyone was so nice and accommodating and understanding. The menus had allergens listed, and it was just great. I loved it. A lot of people asked me questions about how the travel was when we were there. So you pretty much go from city to city to city to city, and it does take time to get from one city to the next city. However, I did not think the travel was bad for this. I actually thought the travel was so reasonable. I thought it was easy. I thought it was absolutely great. With that being said, going and spending 2 hours on the bus here, 2 hours on the bus there, I don't think it's bad, just me as a person. I think the longest bus ride we had was like a 3.5 hour like ride from one place to the other, but we had a 20-minute stop for like bathrooms, snacks, bus driver rest, we got gas, you know, whatever. However, I am used to when I go on EF trips like Spain, Morocco, and Portugal, we would have days that were like 8 or 9 hour bus ride days with like maybe a stop for lunch in there, but like it was a long travel day, like purely travel day. Or we would have days where in Australia and New Zealand, to get from one city to the other, we would be like flying. And so you have to spend 2 hours at the airport to like before your flight, and then you fly, and then you get to the airport, and then you have to go and get on a bus, and then you're going to wherever you're going. And it was just a lot. So I think this trip in comparison, so reasonable. I don't think it was bad at all. You can sleep on the bus, you can read on the bus, you can listen to music, podcasts, whatever, you can talk on the bus. I just thought it was so nice to just like have short bus rides and then just like be in the next place. It was great. A lot of people also asked about the overnight ferry. So you do board, just because like you drive for the majority of the trip on the bus when you go from place to place, but then you do take an overnight ferry so that you get on the ferry at like, I don't know, I think we got on at like 5 o'clock maybe. You can watch it in the vlog. I'm filming this in November. I'm horrible. We got back at the beginning of September. So it's been like a long time since I've been on the trip. But if you want to go and see exactly how everything worked time-wise, you can go watch my video. I'll link it here. But logistically, I did not think it was bad. We got on the ferry. We stopped at a grocery store before so we could get snacks in case we didn't want to eat like ferry food. Ferry food was fine. It was just really expensive, but we had dinner on the ferry. There was a bar that was open all night, so a lot of our group like hung out together by the bar. We had drinks, we hung out, like they had like the decks that you can go out and like be outside while the boat's moving. I don't know, I'd never been on a cruise before. People were like, it's not as nice as a cruise, which understandable, but I was impressed by the boat. I was very surprised, I think. But yeah, my husband and I had a private room, so it was just the two of us, 2 little twin size beds, a bathroom. It was fine. I think other people had 3 and 4 per room if they just had standard rooming. We slept great. I think it was probably also had to do with the amount of alcohol we had on the boat, but I slept great. And then they just set off speakers in the morning to like help wake you up, and then we all just like got up and met in the main area on the boat, and then all got off the boat. And then since EF does include breakfast every morning, our tour director had a budget to like take us to a local cafe. I swear it was the best breakfast we had on the whole trip. It was delicious. We had these like croissants and cappuccinos, and it was just like so good. So ferry, not bad at all. I was extremely impressed. I also did a packing video. If you missed that, you can check it out here. One of the things I kept saying in the packing video I wasn't sure I wanted to bring was my gym shoes, because I was only going to use them for the volcano hike slash, I don't know, it wasn't really like a hike, but we went and like walked up a volcano. It was really cool. In reality, I don't think it was worth bringing my gym shoes and carrying them around for 17 days just to use them for a couple hours. I think I would have just dealt with like the little pebbles and rocks and stuff in my Tevas. That being said, I am not a girl who usually travels with gym shoes. I'd much rather walk in just about anything else, so I wouldn't pack them anyway. If you are going to be wearing them throughout the trip and you want to like have them, then bring them. But I think me being me, I would not bring them again. Must have though are Tevas. I freaking love my Teva Hurricane Drifts. I wear them constantly. I'm a wedding photographer and I wear them for weddings now too. I'm standing and holding camera gear all day. My feet don't hurt. Like when I tell you I love these, like I love them. Love, love, love them. I have them linked down in my Amazon shop down below. They're incredible. Musts for this trip. Absolute must. Other musts, sunscreen. Oh my gosh, so hot. Sun was so like just, you need sunscreen. Sunscreen is so important, especially when sitting at the beach and stuff. Other musts, I love reading. I read a lot on this trip. I would for sure bring like a Kindle with a couple books downloaded, or you know, regular book if you prefer that. That way you have like a book for the bus, a book for the beach, a book for like, you know, whatever you want, sitting at the airport on the way home, wherever you have a book, and it's nice. In my packing video, I also shared they're like microfiber towels. I loved these. I don't know why it's taken me so long to get them, but they're great. We got a size that you can just like tie around your waist that looks like a little swimsuit cover up, but it was also perfect for like setting down on the sand, so you can sit down on them. You can't, like the size we got, you can't fully like lay whole body down, but you can lay like at least like butt to head on there, and it was like great. But they dry so fast, they're so little. They were perfect. I 100% recommend them. They will be coming with me on all of my trips now, but I have them linked in my Amazon shop down below. Also recommend luggage locks. You have your luggage with you on the ferry. Like when we were riding ferries in Greece, you know, it wasn't overnight, but you would leave your luggage down under like the boat with like all the cars and stuff. And some people didn't have luggage locks, and just like me being me, I'd prefer to like lock my stuff up if it's out of my range and access to other people. So I recommend them. On the overnight ferry for this trip, you did get to like have your luggage like locked in your room with you, but I think just in general, like having luggage locks is a great thing to travel with. We also did get new luggage for this trip. I talked about it in my packing video also. It is linked down below from Amazon. I loved it. I am not a super bougie luggage girly though. Like I don't think you'll ever catch me paying like $600 for huge like piece of luggage. So I got this set on Amazon. It came with 4 pieces. My requirements for buying new luggage were I wanted the double wheels that were the 360 wheels. I also wanted it to have a lock on the side. I wanted it to be a bright color that I could easily spot at the airport. And I wanted it to be hard shell. And what else were my requirements? I can't remember what else my requirements were for it, but this one had everything, and it held up really well. I have no complaints with it so far. I'm just gonna keep using it again. This is like the grown-up version of like the blue luggage set I've had for years and years and years that finally broke on me, but I really like this new set that I have. I recommend it. I have no complaints. Again, I've only done one international trip that was 17 days long with it, but so far I love it. I will say on this trip specifically, there were a lot of shopping opportunities. Just like the little towns we went into, we would have like days that you had like this amount of time, like 4 or 5 hours that you were in this city. You could go eat and shop and just like hang out, and there were just like a lot more opportunities to shop than I feel like there usually are. I'm not a big shopping person, but there were people in my group who just went out every opportunity and like loaded up. So I love that for them. Lots of cute things to look at, see, do, but shopping is one of them. This is the first trip ever. Usually we pay for like service, international service, like the $10 per day on our phones. This was the first trip we were like, okay, we're going to try doing the Airalo, which is like the eSIM card so that you get service while you're traveling, but it's like super cheap. So I think we paid like $15 or $20 for like the whole time we were there, and we had like 10 to 15 gigs. I don't know. The only thing, I think, yes, I would use it again. The only thing that I personally don't like about it is that because you have to switch numbers, I missed text coming through to my number that like I know people sent, and I didn't get like later when I got back into the States and turned on my actual number again. The only reason that that bothers me so much is because I'm self-employed, so I had clients texting me and then I didn't ever have a like trace of the conversation, and I had no idea until I got back and they were like, did you not get my messages? And I'm like, no, I didn't. I can't find them. I can't see them. So that's the only thing I personally don't like, but for everything else it was fine. You could like get on social media and stuff. You just couldn't like have access to your number, and nothing else about it like bothered me. It was much cheaper. I could deal with it probably. I just don't like to announce when I travel before I travel. So I don't like to tell people I'm going out of the country while I'm out of the country. So if people want to like contact me, I still try to contact them. It doesn't matter. Self-employed problems. Anyway, so I have 2 more things. How much money I spent, and then ranking the excursion. So our tour director put together a list of excursions for us to do. These were outside of like the excursions you could do through EF's website. She just put them together based on like things that she recommended us do. And so those optional excursions were a wine tour in Venice. This was €45 per person. You got to go into like this family winery, and you get to like, they make you a homemade dinner. They use like vegetables from their garden in the dinner. It's like a delicious pasta. It was one of the best meals on the trip, I think. And then you got to have wine with it. It was delicious. We bought a bunch of wine and shipped it home. I thought it was worth absolutely all of that. I will link it here. The next one was a gondola ride in Venice. You had 5 people per gondola, and it was €45 per person. So it's like €90, maybe €85 to take like a private gondola ride. I don't know if that's per person or just per gondola. I didn't really look into it since we already had this, but I think if it was per gondola, I would have rather done that with David and I, just because us both paying 45 euro, it would have been cheaper to do it on our own. However, the reason I wanted to do the group one was because we had other people. I mean, this was our very first day, like full day there, so we didn't really know the people yet, but we had other people from our group in our boat, and we could all take pictures for each other. So that made it worth it, that I was like, okay, I can hand you my phone and like you can take photos, and then I can have your phone and I'll take photos of you. And it was just a good situation. In Rome, we did a pasta making class. I thought this was fun. It just, I don't know, I think doing it again, I probably would have signed. We had a lot of free time while we were in Rome, and I think I probably would have signed David and I up for like a private class, not with like everyone. It was a little like, just, I feel like chaotic, and I was stressed. Just like having everyone there, and everyone wanted a turn doing everything, which I understand, but then sometimes they don't want to give you turns doing stuff. And I just feel like I personally would have rather had like just to be like a little more private, like a group of like 5 or something, not like everyone there. However, instructors were great, food was delicious, they had us wine to try, and it was just fun. But would I do that class again? Probably not. We also did an Amalfi Coast trip to Positano. This was 55 euro per person, just to like rent the minivans to get us there, just because you can't take the whole like big bus on all these little windy roads. That absolutely worth it. It was beautiful. It was so fun. We got to go to the beach, we got to eat, we got to shop. It was just like a good day. It was very fun. I loved it. Nice to see. Other than our tour director excursions, we had the Mount Etna Volcano and Vineyards excursion through EF. I liked the volcano. I thought it was so fun. I was thinking it was going to be hot, so I wore shorts and an athletic tank top. I was like, this will be great. We're gonna hike. Freezing. Bring a sweatshirt. That's my one tip. Bring a sweatshirt or long sleeves or long leggings, like something. My shorts and tank top were not cutting it. It was so fun though. I loved it. Beautiful views. My husband is afraid of heights, so he was a little timid, but I thought it was worth it to see. The vineyard excursion for like after that was not as great as our optional that our tour director set up for us in Venice. However, I have food allergies and I couldn't eat any of the food for this, so the owner of the winery came over and gave me a plate of food that he made just for me that I could eat, and I was like, oh, it's okay, I don't need anything, I'm fine. And he was like, I don't want you to be fine, I want you to be great. And it just melted my heart. So I think it was very fun. I really liked that. It just like made me feel like so valued and important. The next one was the day in Lake Como. I enjoyed this. Lake Como, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. However, I would 100% change the whole excursion so that instead of being, sorry, camera died, but I would 100% change the entire excursion so that instead of like, we had a bus ride all the way to Lake Como, and then we went through like a garden tour. I will link this vlog up here. But then we got on a ferry and we rode from one city to the next. And then we spent a couple hours in this little town, and then we got on another ferry and spent a couple hours on a boat to go all the way back to the bus. And this boat, it was not it. We were like sweating. Everyone was fanning themselves. It was the hottest ever. There was no AC. The sun was just beating and like baking this boat, and we were all like, can't do it. I would much rather be able to go to that little town and then take the exact same little tiny 15-minute ferry back across the water, hop right back on the bus, and be off. I would skip the whole long boat ride. However, views, beautiful. I just felt like that time of year that I went, I was just so hot and exhausted and like melting that I couldn't appreciate the views 100%. Maybe a different time of year. The last excursion was the Capri cruising, and we had rainy, bad weather this day. The water was too rough. We could not get the ferries and boats or whatever weren't running to get us there, so we didn't get to do it. I will say that we were refunded from EF that same day, so they were on top of things. I appreciated that. That was great. But yeah, those are all the excursions that EF added. So now we are down to how much money we spent. I'm gonna add this up real quick and then I will let you know. In total, my husband and I on this whole trip spent 44 $1,000.52, along with €1,802.35. So like roughly $45 and roughly 1,800 euro. That boils down just the euros. A lot of the US dollars was spent at the airport, either waiting in the airport to go there or waiting and coming home and then eating lunch on our layover. But it boils down, just looking at the euro, boils down to about $900 per person or 53 euro per day, which I don't think is too bad, because that not only includes our food and our drink, but it also includes all of the excursions, all of our souvenirs, so magnets, ornaments. We buy children's books. We got a children's stuffed animal for our future kid. We got a puzzle for our future kid. That's all bathroom entrances, water that you have to pay for, all the wine that we shipped home, taxi rides if we took any, souvenirs we got for people. David went to a soccer game while we were there, so that's included in that. Gelatos, buying our like chairs and umbrellas to like sit and rent at the beach. That includes literally everything. So I think that's pretty good. I feel like my husband and I aren't huge spenders. Like, we didn't go into all the stores to go shopping. The most expensive thing we bought was probably the wine to send home. It was 160 euros to send back 6 bottles of wine. That's 27 euro per bottle. David spent $48 on his soccer game ticket, 30 euro to rent the umbrellas. But yeah, we're not big spenders, so like take that with what you will, take it or leave it, I guess, but that's typically pretty average for what we spend when we travel, you know, per day. We are about to go on our very first trip together outside of the country, not through EF. My cousin is planning it, so we're piggybacking off of their trip, but we are going to go, and we'll see if the spending is different there. Now that we have to pay for, like, you know, transportation, you know, whatever excursions we want to do, all of that. So I can probably like keep track of that and do like a run through with that when we're done with all of that, but it's still in the planning stages now. But anyway, I hope this video helped. I'm sorry it was so long. I feel like I just kept rambling and rambling, but that's okay. If you are still watching right now, and you are watching once this video is like released, so in November of 2023, Black Friday sales going on right now. Lots of trips are on sale. Again, I already said all the trips that I've been on. If you have any questions and you're wanting to book, I don't always check my comments on YouTube, but you can message me on Instagram. I have all of my information linked down below, and you can just send me a message and say which trip you're considering. If you have any questions on it, I have packing videos for the majority of the trips that I've been on. And then for Black Friday right now, usually when you book a trip with EF, you have to use a specific link to get a discount, but right now you can use my code with the Black Friday sale, and it'll just automatically like take it off. So my code is Elizabeth100 if you would like to use it. If you have any questions, let me know on Instagram. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful. This trip was a 10 out of 10. I absolutely loved it. Yeah, New Zealand and Italy are now the places that I would go back first if I had to go back somewhere. So yeah, I 100% recommend. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!